It's the Morning Marketing Machine, here to grow your e-commerce business with proven marketing strategies and tactics, so you can run your business with machine-like precision. My name is Douglas Levin. Let's dive in. So welcome to today's episode, and I'm super excited because we got a special guest. So Alfred Fontanez has been in the e-commerce world for a while, and he's a wealth of knowledge. I know that I've looked at him and his thoughts like more than a few times, and I'm always blown away by what he has to say. So I want to say welcome to the show, Alfred.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Very honored, very, very excited.
So for everyone that's kind of watching and listening here, can you tell us a little bit more about like your story, kind of your background?
All right, let's see. Let's see if I can compress this in less than 30 seconds or maybe even less. My background is in electronic and computer engineering with psychology and architecture. I tend to bounce around during my early years after leaving high school. So, everybody's trying to figure out who they are. I also studied media production. I did some plays, radio shows, and so on and so forth. I also had a band, just letting you know, bro.
Sure.
We were going to record a record deal, but, the usual. My girlfriend, I want to do this, I want to do that. You have to travel, blah, blah, blah. So kind of broke apart. But yeah, I had some of that. But anyway, move along in the future. Started working for Siemens, Westinghouse, working for the nuclear power plants during the period of time with the Iraq War, and a lot of stuff that was going on over there. After that, I wanted to play my part for a lot of things that I was seeing, and I decided to work for Lockheed Martin. So I started working with Lockheed Martin with a lot of interesting projects that I can't really say too much. But anyway, I worked with Lockheed Martin. Some of them, for example, see what I can say. Apache helicopter, the F-35, just a few things that a lot of people will be like, ooh, interesting. F-35, the one that floats up. And anyway, you see in the movies. Then after that, I got tired of the whole boom, boom, bam, bam, bam. And I decided to go with a little bit different and started going the route of healthcare industry. So I went to work for Florida Hospital here in Central Florida. Well, not here, but Central Florida. And then after that, it got too weird and for me. And then I decided to go to try something different, like the working for Integrated Supply Network as a distribution wholesale company. The smallest. I wanted to work on something small, basically. And with them, it was for the automotive industry. So their goal was to grow the company from 300 million to the 1 billion to 2 billion. And it was very small mom and pop type of company at that point. And I was, oh, great. I come from the big companies and doing all these big things and complex things. They're not familiar with any of these things. So there's a lot of skills and a lot of knowledge that I can bring into to the table with this company. So at that point, we began the process working with the IT department and the rest of the operations until we eventually grew and expanded the business. Lots of acquisitions, lots of opening new warehouses, making lots of connections with Amazon, Walmart, Sears, Ford. A lot of the stuff that you might buy from Ford, a little USB drives and wrenches and shirts and chairs and stuff. It all comes from them. Now, recently, before I left, we got Tesla also as well. So there's a long list of different things that basically we were doing business-wise to basically expand the business to break away, the 1 billion to 2 billion. So it was very exciting. A lot of traveling, a lot of interesting people traveling all over the place. And then after that, basically, I just landed where I am right now. I got to the point where I needed to spend more time with my family because I was never here. I was literally never here. And it would break my heart when I would drive away and my kids were running on the sidewalk after the car. So, that always left an impression with me. So, and then my father died. So that really gave me a blow to sit down and recenter myself. Okay, what really matters? What's really important? What are you getting out of any of these things and all these things? Is that worth, you know, the time that you're basically investing and you're never going to get back? And that kind of landed me going this route. Okay, well, if I'm going to build something, maybe I should start building it for myself and for my family, and something that I can grow, and eventually, hopefully, have the impact that I want to have, not just in my family, but in people and society and mankind and the world and so on and so forth. And that's basically where I'm heading in right now.
Oh. And are you using like e-commerce right now in that kind of direction, or is it more like kind of service based?
Exploration.
Excellent.
So right now I'm in the mindset of losing myself within all the opportunities and exploration. So I come from large, from growing meat to medium to large, companies to a greater scale. But when you start from nothing or from zero, it's a very different dynamic. It's a very different beast. And that kicked me hard, especially my ego, because I'm here, this hot shot kid. I'm not a kid, but this hot shot guy, that knows all of these things, but yet is having issue with these very simple things. And it's because I never had to worry about accounting per se. I did have to do forecasting and financial forecasting and stuff like that, but I had an accounting department packed with people to handle all of my accounting needs. I just set up a meeting with them, and they would work out anything I needed with the banks, the numbers and everything, right? And the same thing with the IT department, the same thing with the warehouse operations team. There was a team for everything. So all I had to do is just leverage all of them in a different. But when you start from zero, that's a different dynamic. You don't have that manpower, so you have to be. You need to understand where the true value lies with regarding how you begin. What matters basically to get started? What really matters, like when you water things down and get rid of all the fluff and prettiness, you realize, yeah, I don't need to be pretty. It doesn't need to be, you need to understand what it is, what the value is, like where the problem is. You need to understand what the problem is, and then have a discussion with that, and then figure out how you can serve them in a way that they actually care and want. Sorry about that. So, yeah, that's basically where I am right now with regards to all of that.
Yeah. So one of the things that you had kind of touched on was like the idea of, obviously, like the idea, like the most important thing is kind of where I'm kind of seeing it. Like, so obviously you talked about changing a lot of your business and your lifestyle because of family, and that sounds like it. Would you say like right now in terms of moving forward, then that's your most important thing you're working on, like as you're making kind of that change?
Yeah, it's because a part of the exploration is also exploring, um we don't live forever. So whatever, vanity perception of materialistic and stuff like that, really it's not going to matter, because when you die, it's done, it's gone. Now if you haven't personally experienced death, or in the particular, like maybe like I have, or many others, that is very close to you, you can't appreciate that yet. You understand it, but you can't appreciate it yet, and that's okay. But the reality is, once you get connected with that, then you start thinking about not just financially. It's also, in my case, I have my kids, but let's take that even a notch more, is where is my contribution to mankind when I die? Like where, in this little speck of dirt floating in space, whether it's in simulating systems on some alien race, or maybe there's something else, who knows, right? But what we do know, based on what we know, is we're just a little speck of dirt floating in the nothingness, right? So what is my contribution? What am I doing? Where, when I die, how is mankind going to be better? How have I contributed? Because once you realize that, we you know everybody has their own desires of what they want for themselves and for their family. Some people just want to have a chill life, just relax, do the minimum and just play video games and chill, because yeah, they're happy with that. Um but when you come, I guess, from my experience and my background, is I've seen all of these big things, and I've seen what can be done, and I've seen the possibilities, and you can't just shut your eyes and you can't shut your mind and say that no longer is real or not possibility. It's too ingrained in your mind, and when you think, you think very big, at least for me. So if I'm going to think big, the point is, how can I create the biggest contribution to mankind? So that equals also, you can translate that into, how can I create the biggest value for mankind? And if I'm going to bring value, then what is the biggest problems facing the world today that I can jump in? And, the difference between, I guess, me and many people is that, you know, I can see big problems and how to break them down and build them up. But I need people along the journey with me to be able to do that. And that was my breaking point. That's where my mindset would break apart
Mhm.
from a lot of you guys, which is I told, the guys in many of our groups, is that I find you guys so incredible and fascinating, is because you have the ability to begin from the zero. You don't need anything other than, because you understand something that a lot of other people don't understand yet, like the building blocks to begin creating the foundation. And basically, I don't have that, because usually I always came in with some place that there was a foundation already.
Mhm.
So, when I see you guys have that, done. You guys are awesome doing. So when I look at, like, going back to what we were saying before, about these mastermind groups, I don't have that. You guys do. I have what you guys need, and you guys have what I need, which is the way I guess it should be. You guys don't have the mind of big, massive entrepreneurial corporate, how to grow it at that level. And I don't have the understanding of how you basically just start from practically nothing.
Mhm.
And it's taken me a long time to figure that out. So I don't know if I went and deviated, because I tend to do that a lot. So I
It's a,
apologize.
yeah, and it comes back to the idea, like we had talked about it a little bit earlier, like you don't ever want to be like jealous or anything, like because that's not really a good emotion, but you're always like a little bit envious, like, oh well he seems to have it figured out, like we were talking about that, like it always kind of seems to be like that. But like, look at you on the surface, right? I mean, like all of your amazing accomplishments, like I know I look up to you in terms of where you're at and everything that you've been able to do, and obviously you're just saying here that you're looking up to a lot of people that are able to bring it from zero to six figures. I mean, so there's always, it's like nobody ever has anything. Like it has everything. There's always going to be some aspects to us where it gets back to what you're saying about what can I learn from you? What can I, or like the outsourcing part. So yeah, I mean that's definitely something that I know like a lot of people can understand and hopefully um, uh, take to heart as they kind of move forward. Um, I guess I know we obviously we're in the same book club. The a little bit of a shout was the Entrepreneurs Book Club, right? Is to give a little bit of praise to it. So I guess we're going to talk about like that aspect as well, because I know that's been a huge part of my life, and I know you read, I assume, way more than I do. But like so get into some of those aspects too. Like, so what are you currently reading, and like what's the best book that you kind of read like in the last like 6 months or a year or so as well?
Um, excuse me. That's a hard question. It's like picking a child. Which child do you love more? Eesh. So I think books are, like a way, like where's your place in the journey in your life, and then that book will have a significant impact on you because you are at that stage in your life. Um, right now, well, I'm finishing. Well, I'm revisiting two books: the Fast Lane Millionaire and the Unscripted by MJ DeMarco. Uh, I absolutely think he's the most incredible, twisted mind I have. One of the best books so far regarding uh, changing the narrative of what's going on and how you perceive the world. Um, but of course, being shown the door about the possibilities doesn't necessarily mean that you will have the ability to open it, because what once you're shown behind the curtain, that there's no wizard, that there's just a man and machines and stuff like that, your reality gets messed with, of who you see, how you see the world, and how you see yourself. So there's that friction. So then there's some other books that I have. The Psycho-Cybernetics, which is fantastic, is really good. Man, I have too many. But right now, anyway, yeah, right now I'm working on changing the mindset to be able to tune in into how many of you guys, solopreneurs, startingpreneurs, are able to begin from that point where you're starting from zero. So I have all the technical, all this understanding, but how to start from the zero is very, very different and scary, because it messes with, I guess, my view of how things are supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I'm working on right now. A lot of mindset, start from zero, the power of the now, Psycho-Cybernetics, Unscripted, the Fast Lane Millionaire, Principles. I mean, I can keep spitting books around, but yeah, that's pretty much it. And for work related, I have How to Write Copy That Sells by Ray Edwards. I have Copywriting Secrets, which I think you might have already read or gone through, which
Oh, from
is
Jim Edwards, right? Yeah.
Jim Edwards. Yep. Also, Ogilvy. I don't know how you say his name.
Ogilvy or
Ogilvy or Ogilvy.
never know.
So Ogilvy,
Ogilvy, yeah, yeah.
yeah, on advertising.
Well, breakthrough
Also,
advertising, or no,
I'm
that
sorry.
words. What was the book from Ogilvy?
Ogilvy on advertising.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, breakthrough advertising. The Copywriter's Handbook by Robert W. Blee, and the Halbert Copywriting Method, part 3, which is really good. Anyway, I have more stuff, but basically that's what I'm using right now for work, because right now I'm working on copywriting. Oh, and I can't forget this other one. It's hiding. I got way too many books. But Cashvertising, definitely the best, most rounded book about this. It's horrible cover though. It's ugly, but everyone that's read this book is blown away. This is like a summary of all of these books packed into one book.
Mhm.
So definitely highly recommended. But that's basically where I am right now.
What's funny is like a lot of those books are the same ones that either I read or are on my list. Like I've heard so many things about breakthrough advertising and Ogilvy and like they're like the pioneers when you talk about like marketing and advertising. Yeah, I was amazed that you got breakthrough advertising. Like I could never find a copy of it.
Yeah, they have it on Titans Marketing. They're
Uh,
selling it for a pretty penny. Um, but yeah, and the one-page marketing plan. But I'm that one is extremely good. But I'm basically trying to focus right now on the copywriting. But yeah, I have the big book of Words That Sale. That's usually where I grab like ideas on how to structure, the copywriting, like what words have the biggest weight
mhm.
emotionally. Because when you do a copy, you want to, bring the benefits and the meaning to drive in emotion because that's where people tie in. Um, and there's another one about the colors and break down the colors and the symbols and lines and stuff like that. So when you do your images, let's say for ecom and whatever,
Mhm.
you can focus on, okay, what colors, what kind of lines do I use, and in my product, what colors can I use, what kind of lines and curvatures and things can I do that messes with your, it plays out in your head. So yeah, anyway, that's basically what I'm doing right now because I'm trying to, like I've told you before, I'm trying to save a particular product
Mhm.
since the treble market kind of went,
Yeah.
and it's going back down again
Right.
because unfortunately, but yeah, so trying to, I'm trying to polish something that probably it's not going to be safe no matter what,
Mhm.
but it's definitely a great exercise to put, to work out that muscle. But that's basically book wise where I am right now in all of this stuff.
Yeah, and I know we've talked about it a few times in terms of like the mindset pieces of it. Obviously, like for the book club, we just finished 12-week year, and obviously, like that's about the roadmap stuff. So I know one of the things that I had struggled with a lot was like the mindset piece, and like you've talked about mindset as well. Like so, uh, this is one of the things that I want to ask a lot more people as well because everyone's got their own way of doing things. But like what have you tried, like say when you're kind of like in a funk for whatever reason, you just kind of can't really be either productive or your mind isn't right, like what have you tried to kind of get out of that funk and what seems to work from those different things for you specifically?
Right. Um, there's a book, a small book, teeny book. Let me see. I think I have it here. Give me 1 second.
All right.
Oh, maybe I don't. Anyway, the book is called "The Greatest Salesman in the World." I have like multiple copies of it, and and of course, I can't find one right now.
That's all
But
right.
it's a very small, thin book, and one of the things in that book, one of the sayings in that book that basically I've been hammering into my head every day is, you know, we are slave to habits. So if I must be a slave to habits, then let them be good habits. So, you know, it's one of those things that you got to sit down and think and realize we are creatures of habit. It's been documented and written everywhere. And, so if we are creatures of habit and I'm a slave to my habits because I do them by routine and automatically, then, why not make sure that whatever those habits are good habits? And I'll explain where that ties into everything else. So I started listing, a list of different habits that I want to be able to, to become root of who I am. in different areas, in health, in my mind, physically, professionally, and so on and so forth. And then kind of begin to paint, okay, this is the ideal version of me that I would like to be. So what habits do I need to begin creating that will take me there? And start simple, because, I also started gardening and planting and growing. I go to the store and buy, papaya and all these fruits, and then I will grab the seeds and then try to grow them. So now, of course, I have a forest, but but the thing is, you realize that big things don't necessarily need to start from a giant seed. It can be from something very small. So, it could be, waking up and drinking a full glass of water, or, waking up and making the bed before you go and take a piss or go to the bathroom or whatever. So now I've been doing that for many years. So I see now, even when I go to a hotel, I cannot wake up and not make the bed. So sometimes the cleaning people walk in there and like, okay, everything is already done. But, I cannot just not do it. So now, now that I realize, okay, I can create new habits and all these things. One of the worst bad habits that we have is our self-negative talk. And I don't think, one of the things that we realize is that, we talk, if we could create a person to embody your negative thoughts, you would basically kick the crap out of them. I mean, you would never want to be their friends. You don't want to be. It's like, no way, like, get away from me. Like, but that's who we carry in ourselves all the time. So obviously, it's like a giant weed and is at this point in our time, in our life, the tree, that weed has grown into a giant tree, and is very rooted in our mind. So the other element in that book, is that he mentions in that The Greatest Salesman in the World, very small, fascinating book, is, the best way to, get rid of a bad habit is to replace it with another habit.
Mhm.
And, in neuroscience, now that there's a further understanding of neuroplasticity, you realize that the brain functions in many roots that branches out in different areas of the brain, where one, centers, the colors and the sense of smells, and it branches everywhere like a root. So the roots, basically, the ones that are reinforced again and again, are the ones that take more, structure. They become stronger in your mind. But, the other way to break away from those roots is basically to replace that with another set of branching roots in your mind. And just like your muscle, if you don't use it, the body will begin to break it down and absorb it. The mind will begin to do the same thing, because it's not like it's an infinite capacity. Everybody likes to say, oh, the mind has infinite capacity. No, not really. No. I mean, we haven't reached it, but that doesn't mean that is an infinite. But the point is, you can start beginning to break down the branching of your mind for all those bad habits with putting in a new habit, a habit that basically falls over that one, because it forces you to basically break that old habit. Like, now before I went to the bathroom, I need to make the bed. So I might be like, oh my God, I gotta go. I just drank this gallon of water before I went to bed. Now I woke up this morning. But I gotta make the bed, because otherwise I can't go to the bathroom. Like, make it a particular requirement. Or there's many ways of doing this, but the point is, you replace a bad habit with a good habit, with another habit. It has to be something small, something simple, because what you want is the small seed to take root and begin to branch out. And then once it takes root, that small seed, that's when you basically begin to really focus on growing that seed. So then the other branches in your mind begin to wither, because this one begins to grow and take more priority, more strength in your mind, and then becomes a priority. and the old branch begins to weather down. I mean, it will not event forever because they're like branches like rivers. So there's always a little bit of leftover. But, you know, as long as you keep in mind, okay, I know that's there, but I'm making a conscious decision that I'm going to focus on this one, because if I'm going to become a slave, I want to become slave of the things that I want in my life, not the things that I don't want. So with that said, is when we think about negativity and things like that, one of the things that I try to do now every morning is wake up, open my 5-minute journal, and begin to focus on what things I'm grateful in my life. You know, I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for my kids. I'm grateful for my dog, my Yuppie. I'm grateful for my brothers. I'm grateful for, whatever. There's so many things to be grateful, that they brought me coffee this morning, or that they make breakfast, or that it's raining today, so it's not going to be so hot. Instead of thinking, oh, it's raining, I can't go out, and well, no, it's like, oh, finally it's raining, it's going to be fresh, it's going to be cool. It's going to be very soothing, it's going to be a very relaxing day. Everything is going to get washed out and cleaned at the same time, because the rain. So there's all the way, so basically you begin to, the first thing in the morning is that you reinforce those roots, those positive roots of gratitude and thankfulness, to begin seeing throughout the day only the good things. It doesn't mean that you're not going to think about bad things, but you now are reinforcing, before anything negative, all the good things and all the positive things. The other thing is meditation, learning to basically see, like, become the observer within you. Observe your body, observe your feelings, observe your thoughts, observe your the environment from a third person point of view. So that means that when you see yourself thinking something negative, you can pop out of that thought, look at it, and say, and realize what it is, let it be whatever it is, and move along. So you don't have to be stuck inside the highway. You can be outside of the road and just see the cars, and see the thoughts, and see the emotions, and see everything flow through. That way you can then consciously choose what you let in, what you don't let in. Right? And then focus back on reinforcing the things that matter. I wanted to explain like the foundation and everything to where it is, so it makes more sense. Because sometimes people don't understand, but old dog can learn new tricks. Well, that's not true. And there's lots of evidence regarding how, we there's lots of historical documents and Bibles and many of the other books basically showing about thinking positive, and why affirmations and visualizations and blah blah blah. That is just a way to represent something, or explain something, because there was no other way to explain it. But now, because science has advanced to the point, now we realize, no, it's because the brain is neuroplastic. It can change, it can mold, it can create. You can re-engineer yourself to be whatever you want. And science has shown it. There's proof. They can scan your mind on how it changes, and all these things. So you can become whatever it is that you want to become. It's not like a child, that they are the only ones with the ability to learn quickly. No, you also have the ability. It's just that it's different. So now there's scientific proof showing that those things work, but it's not because some magical powers from the universe is doing it. It's because you are becoming now the director and the conductor of your life. And that you have the ability and the power to do that. But not everybody is okay with that thought, though.
Right.
Because a lot of people just want to be victims. No, I'm like this because traffic and my family, genetics. And I'm saying that's true. Genetics do play a role,
Right.
but you still have a choice.
Mhm.
Might not be an easy choice, but you always have that choice, which is part of the last book, Essentialism, right?
Mhm.
Making you realize you are always in control. You always in choice. You just got to realize that. So,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I know I've had those discussions with family a lot of times. Like, I guess it's the whole thing of obviously, like when we're talking as like business owners and entrepreneurs, we all have a certain mindset, or the people that I know I generally talk to have a certain mindset. Like, obviously, we're aligned in that aspect, but like then I'll talk to other family where like they have that whole victim mentality of like I can't get ahead, and and it's everybody else's fault but mine, and those other aspects that come along, and I
damn capitalist,
yeah,
damn capitalists.
like I never want to be around them just because like it's the whole like you like I told my wife this, and I don't say it to them because it's like, all right, I want to be around people like you, right? Because that's I want the positivity, I want to learn, I want to grow, but they're of that mindset of it's everybody else's fault, and it brings you down, like you just uh, for lack of a better word, yeah, it just brings you down. So like, and they're like you were saying, you're the master of your own fate, and for whatever reason, a lot of people just don't understand that. I know for me, it took me until I was in my 30s and 40s to understand that idea.
Right.
It's something I think probably like I would venture to say like 90% of people don't really ever figure out.
Now, I want to make a distinction, though, is you don't, you don't have control of what happens to you
Right.
or your environment. We now have evolved to the capacity, through science and many other methods to, have power and control over our surroundings and the physical world, the matter and stuff like that. But that doesn't mean that we entirely have always that control. Nature can quickly turn around and destroy everything. Look at the hurricanes,
Mhm.
or a volcano. We are subject to the rules of nature, and nature has its own agenda and its own way of thinking. What that means is I can't control, I can't control, what other people are, decide to do, or that the weather decides to rain today, or you know it's just to realize that you don't necessarily have the ability to control your environment and the things around you, but you have the ability to control how you respond to the environment and to the things happening. So that's where the true control lies. Like Mandela, when he was in prison, right? He made choices in his mind that allowed him to be where he is today. The same thing with Gandhi, the same thing with Elon Musk. Everybody makes choices in their mind. The environment, it's inevitable. You can't you can't always control it. And I want to be careful. It's like I would prefer to say that you don't always have the control, or you don't control it, but you only have the ability to control yourself. And by controlling yourself, then you begin to control the environment. What I mean by that is, I'm going to control myself. I don't want to eat. I don't want to be fat anymore, right?
Mhm.
I want to be healthier. So I'm focusing on me, and because of my decisions about me, suddenly my environment doesn't necessarily, the physical world doesn't change, but where I live does. I don't live anymore suddenly in McDonald's or Burger King or any of these fast food places. Now I live, in places that are healthier, maybe at home, uh, cooking better foods. Maybe now I live in a gym or doing things that the person that is a fit person, does every day. So you change your identity. You begin to change, your persona of who you are, and then you begin to prove to yourself and to everyone around you that you are that person. And by doing that, you basically deviate. So you have control over that, right? but you can't control, McDonald's. They're gonna keep on making burgers, and I lost 50 pounds too, by the way.
Oh, you did?
So
Nice.
awesome, yeah. But I still love my McDonald's, bro. When I do my cheat days, yeah, I kid you not, Big Mac, Whopper, milkshakes, bro. I go all out. I feel horrible the next day, but
Right.
I definitely go all out. But that's the thing. But then after that, I realized, okay, I enjoyed it. I'm feeling the pain, and now that I feel the pain, I realize it's a reminder also that that's one of the reasons why that food is not ideal
Mm-hmm.
for me, for us, and
Right.
for the family. It's good for fun once in a while, but if I want to feel better, if I want to think clear, if I want to feel more energetic, if I want to live longer, if I blah 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 blah, long list of things. And if I want to live up to my own personal expectations of this is the person I want to become, then this is the lifestyle I want to have, and
Right.
not that one. So my environment completely changed because of that decision, not because the world changed, but because my mind changed. So when people say, the world, the world will change, to radically, conspire to give you the stuff, like in The Alchemist, whatever. It's not that your mind is conspiring, or I mean, it's not that the world is conspiring. Is that now your focus is flowing in a different direction? Which, by the way, there's another book called Flow,
Okay.
which a lot of sports people get into, like Michael Phelps,
Hmm.
stuff like that. They get into the flow. Very cool process, biological, that happens in the mind. How people basically suddenly were able to run 100 meters in less than 10 seconds, or why suddenly people were able to surf these massive, crazy waves, and how they were able to get into that mental state, and what is it that happens biologically in their brain that everything shuts down. It's the opposite of what everybody thinks. You don't become smarter, you become dumber. But that's because now suddenly the body is focusing the blood flow and the energy into the areas of the brain that matter to be able to do that you want to get done.
Hmm.
Very cool stuff. But basically is that your focus is controlling your reality. So if you now there's scientific evidence to the mumbo jumbo. Now the mumbo jumbo is not that the energy from the blah 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 is coming. No. It's because this is what's biologically happening inside your mind. This is what's happening. And now that you understand how it's happening biologically, now you realize, got it. Okay. That means it's not that some magical entity or power is doing this. That means that I have control. That means that, and if you think about it, you go back into the Bible and all these other things, is free will. It's all, you always have that free will, right? You always have these things, there's reinforcement regarding these things. It's just that, of course, their way of thinking back then, they could only describe it that way.
Hmm.
But now in our days, now we have science and medicine and all these other things that help us understand what's happening in the physical world with regards to all of these things. So yes, it no more The Secret, no more, and that doesn't mean that there's not a higher power, if that's what you believe, or any of those, any of these things. It just means that you know it just reinforces in a more physical form that it is true, it is real, this is how it happens, this is why it happens, you have control over it.
Hmm.
So make your choices. So sometimes making our own choices is not that easy because it conflicts with our reality. It's like, oh, but I love playing video games. Well, guess what? In my list of hobbies for my day, I have a hobby listed there to play video games.
Hmm.
But I also have one for playing with my kids. So then I can go, all right, well, I'm going to play with my kids. Maybe some Smash Brothers or Overcooked or whatever. I get to spend time with them. They get to spend time with me. And then when they grow older, it's like, oh, Papa used to play video games with us all the time.
Hmm.
Instead of being, oh, Papa was never here. He's working, he's traveling.
So what
So
video game system, by the way?
I'm sorry.
What video game system, by the way?
Well, I'm a geek, so
Uh,
I have everything.
What do they play? Is it Xbox
They
or PS4?
they're stuck in uh Xbox One because it has Minecraft.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, we have the Switch, we have PlayStation 4, we have the Wii U, we have the GameCube, we have Xbox, the original Xbox. We have them all, bro. I have Oculus Quest
uh,
that I have completely rigged here. Looks like an alien machine now with all the fans and all the adapters and all this stuff. Um, yeah, I mean, I have PlayStation, Super Nintendo. I have the Nintendo. I have everything all the way back. Yeah, I'm a geek.
you gotta talk to my brother-in-law. I think he's got every system, like for the most part. And I played pretty much like Nintendo, and then I think I made it through a PS2 or PS3. Like now it's most of my kids that play.
I honestly I don't play as often, but the point is that I do enjoy the nostalgia of going back and enjoying things that meant something to me growing up, like Back to the Future,
Mhm.
or Star Wars, or Framing Roger Rabbit. A lot of people don't remember that.
Oh yeah.
The Addams Family, Goonies, and it's like, oh, but you're wasting your time and your mind and all this. It's like, well, they bring me joy, they bring me happiness, they make me feel good, and I prefer to be in a happy, good, joyful state, so then I can be more effective when I go to do things, that being in a miserable, burned out state, because I'm just being hammering, going nonstop on you know so yeah, your mind you feed your mind. Basically your mind gets it's a bucket, and the more you consume certain things, that's what more becomes in your mind. Kind of like food. You are what you eat. Well, what the mind is, you think of what you consume. So if you're watching the news and everybody's killing each other and everybody's dying because of COVID-19, well, that's what basically will consume your mind. The fear, the worry, and all the things that come along with that, all the emotions. So because of that, I'm conscious, because of meditation. I'm conscious regarding what it is that I allow my mind to consume. So basically, I don't let you know all these other negative roots or possibilities to take like root. I'm aware of them. I know that they're there, but in order for me to continue to be more productive and having a more joyful life, then I need to focus on these other things. So make a conscious decision, commit, and just do them.
And I know obviously we were talking, I think, off air about like the 12-week year. And I know one of the things that they talk about specifically, and this relates to what you were just saying, was the idea that your business should come from your personal vision. So like not the other way around. And I know that's something I've honestly been struggling at. I know a lot of people do as well. When you talk about creative like a
I know,
work-life
I
balance.
exactly know what you mean.
Yeah.
And that this puzzle, I'm gonna give it to you right now, bro. But hopefully you have the foundation to be able to appreciate it.
Mhm.
But it's taken me a while, a lot of meditation, a lot of stuff, and is I think everybody, if the bro, I'm literally gonna give you something good here, and it's because everybody likes to regurgitate the same BS.
Mhm.
Oh, you got to follow your passion. Oh, you got to bring value and whatever the numbers show on the systems and online social media, Google trends and Amazon numbers and blah 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 blah. That's what you need to focus on. Uh, and the other talk is value, value, value. No, you got to give value, value, value this, value that. It's like, what does that mean?
Mhm.
What does all of that mean? Like, I really don't care about that back scratcher. Like, I'm not passionate about it. I do enjoy it. I mean, I have mine over here. Yo, I love my back scratch. I love it, especially when it's itching earlier. But am I passionate about making these and this? No, no. So I guess the what it goes down to is, which I mentioned before, is I'm less focused about whatever it is that I'm doing. I think focusing on passion is not necessarily a bad thing. I think is, what are you passionate about? Now you need to, I think what everybody needs to realize and understand is, you don't need to be passionate about the back scratcher. You need to be passionate about helping the people that have maybe some disability, some inability to be able to reach areas, and put yourself in their place. Now we're looking at we're now at this point, we're not looking at it from the filter of a business mindset. We're looking at it from the filter of sympathy and empathy. And I think that those two are the most powerful, values and muscles and skills that you need to build. First, understanding the difference between sympathy and empathy, and then using that to understand where passion needs to be. And the passion, at least I've concluded, is that you need to be passionate about solving people's problems, making a genuine difference, not how much money you're going to pull out of their pockets, but about how big of an impact you are going to have on their lives. How big of a problem are you solving? And then realize the less is better, right? Like we've read, less is better. You don't need to be overly elaborate about what the solution needs to be. It just needs to solve the problem and do it very well. It needs to have the impact. So once we start looking at it, as an entrepreneur, everybody's romanticizing entrepreneurship. That is financial success. Look at my Bentley, look at my jet, look at this, look at that, look at my clothes, whatever. And I realize is that your success should be a measure of how happy and meaningful your life is. And that can only be possible if you focus on what people need, sympathizing and empathizing with the pains of the world and the people around you. And in order to do that, you cannot think about you. It's not about you. So it's not about you. It's not about Amazon. It's not about eBay. It's not about, what the guru says. It's not about any of that. It's about what people need. It's about solving people's problems. And when I say that is, you need to sympathize and empathize with what that means. And when you look around, everyone is surrounded by problems. Everybody's just nonstop spitting out problems. And every time people open their mouths with all of these things, all of that is an opportunity. All of that is an opportunity for you to dive deeper into what their pain is. Figure out how many more people are having this problem. And then just go out and solve it. That's it. Oh, but the other component of this that everybody gets stuck on is, let's say that the problem is a technological problem or a problem that can be technologically, solved. But Alfred, I don't know how to program. I don't even know, what's this? Where's the start button? Like what start? Like where? Like they don't know. Like where's the power button? Yo, I kid you not. I have people that don't know where the power button is in the computer. Computer just automatically opens and magically turns on. I don't have any of those skills. I don't know any of these things. Well, guess what? Elon Musk didn't know how to make a rocket. Mm-hmm. He didn't know how to make a electrical car. Go back. Bill Gates didn't know how to make a lot of the things that he was doing. So two things: you learn or you leverage getting people that know how to do the things that need to be done. That's it. That's why. Now, newsflash: this is the why most of your bosses are idiots. That's why they're idiots, because they're not interested in understanding how to, what if, then do that code component, or how to run any sub. They don't care. They're not interested. They're interested in the result, and the result solving the problem. That's it. That's why they don't care to understand any of those technical things. So when you take a moment, deep breath, and think about this, you will realize, like, damn it. That makes much more sense than them just having the magical powers of luck and universe conspiring to help them somehow magically. No. Has nothing to do with that. It has to do with them being open-minded, sympathize and empathize with whatever the situation is that they're trying to solve, and then leveraging other people. They don't have the ego that it needs to be them that has a magical skill to solve this magical problem. No, they just leverage other people. So with that being said, now everybody that's watching this should understand clearly. One, it's not about you. That's not about you, or about how, or necessarily exactly what your passion is and things like that. It's about you becoming passionate, I guess, about helping people. And not just in small quantities, big quantities, large amounts of people. Two, you don't need to be the expert. You are not supposed to know everything. Nobody does. That's why once you understand the problem, once you understand what people need, you can leverage getting people to help you find the solution, how to build the solution. The solution could be something physical. It could be a system. It could be a training program. It could be, music. It could be many things, right? Solutions can come in many forms. But then you might wonder, well, I don't know. If I don't know anything about this, how am I going to understand what the solution is? You ask the person that has a problem how they're solving the problem right now. Oh, I'm trying to scratch my back, but I can't get there. So I use the corner of the wall to do that. Okay. So also that's how you're solving it right now. So, okay, then you dive into that, okay, well, using the wall. Okay. What other things other people are using to solve this particular problem? And then you compile that research and you see, oh, some people are using like the pipes from the, maybe paper rolls to scratch your back, or a branch, whatever. Mm-hmm. Right. And then you realize, oh, well, and when people really like it when the other, somebody scratches them. So maybe I could just combine those two things and make the best of those two, combine the best of those two things. And suddenly I have something like this. And because I'm the only one that took the time to build the solution, I'm going to be the one, that's going to be able to help the most amount of people. And because I'm helping the most amount of people, I'm going to get paid in equal proportions, which is what Earl Nightingale in The Greatest Secret, he mentions in there is that the bigger in proportion you help people, the bigger in proportion you're going to receive in return. That's it. It's just that people are too stuck in this fantasy because it can't be that it's their fault that they haven't moved forward. It's not because of me. It's because there's some power somewhere or some conditioning, which is true. I mean, conditioning definitely has an impact. But that I don't have the ability to do it. I can't change. I can't, there's all these buts. There's no but other than you using the but to create excuses to hold yourself back. So yeah. And to build this, once I figure out what the solution is supposed to be like, then I could just hire a carpenter to make it for me. Mm-hmm. And create a prototype. And then I'll take it back to those groups of people and say, hey, I know you've been needing and loving and having this issue. I just created this. Would you mind testing it out and see what you think? And they're like, oh my goodness. And, oh, this is the best thing. It's a sliced bread. Oh my goodness. Oh, great. Oh my God, we'll pay $1 million for these things. Oh, excellent. Awesome. Right? And let's take it even a step further. Let's say, well, I'm broke. I don't have money. I don't have money. How am I going to hire somebody to make this? How am I going to do all these things? Well, all right. Well, once you figure out what the solution is supposed to be like, you go back to those groups of people and say, hey, I came up with a solution for you. And it's going to be something like this. How much would this be worth it for you? If I could, get it built for you, how much would it be worth it for you? Well, I would pay this amount, right? Okay. And when you think about this, now we're talking about crowdsourcing, like fundraising and stuff like that, which is that's what that is.
Right.
They have no money, they're broke, they have nothing. But the more people commit to be able to pay money, then you have the capital. You're not pulling it out of your pocket. You using their capital to be able to create the product.
Mhm.
And then as a thank you for them helping you manufacture and produce a product, you give them VIP access and support. You baby them through the solution.
Mhm.
So then they become raving fans because, oh my God, from the beginning, we've always been working together. We have so much feedback and they're always there ready to answer questions, and it becomes a community. And again, that's what people need and want. We want to belong and to be in a community. So you basically create this out of just, a need.
Mhm.
And that's it. Then you have the money to go and hire the person to create a prototype. And then you give back to the same group of people and say, hey, this is how it's gonna look, this is how it's gonna work. And they can say, we don't like it, maybe it can be like this, maybe it can be like that. It's like, all right, great. You gotta be careful because sometimes people don't know what it is that they want and they'll go in but the point is you can do that.
Mhm.
No money. And then begin to focus on creating something meaningful, something big. So when like some of the stuff that you were for the interview questions and stuff like that, that's the most important thing I'm working on right now is think big, remove mental blocks about if I'm about me having to be the specialist, to be the one that engineers a solution, because I'm an engineer, so I automatically want to come up with the solution myself, right? But I need to step away from that mindset, that way of thinking. I see it, I understand it, appreciate it, but right now I need to focus more on the other element of sympathizing, empathizing with the world, looking for the big pictures and big problems, connect with those people and their pain, and listen to them, find out what ways they're solving some of the problems that they have right now, and how, what solutions are out there that people are coming up, and then see if it's, if people will be willing to spend money in these solutions, and if so, then build some advertisement and campaign or whatever, take it to Kickstarter or some of those,
Mhm.
create a nice presentation, use those people having those problems as part of the marketing campaign to create the video or whatever presentation. Let it roll.
Mhm.
Let them also be part of the promotion. They'll basically word of mouth will reach out to other people because you know people know other people similar to them, so most likely those people will also have similar problems related to the same problem, so then they'll basically spread word of mouth, and that's more valuable than you forcefully creating advertisement and just dumping lots of money trying to force people to become consumers. So instead of pushing the rock uphill, now you're letting you're just pushing it to go downhill. And then once you build that momentum, you just let it go, which is, I guess, part of uh, the growth hack mindset, marketing, marketing hack from Ryan Holiday.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, that one. Yeah.
yeah, it's a really good book. It basically explains to you basically how spend no money in advertising,
Mhm.
but it's because everybody is promoting the same the same regurgitated information that you got to do PPC, you got to do push Facebook advertising. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, you see me present about Facebook and
Right.
stuff like that, but I'm not trying to force people to become consumers. I'm only interested in getting more people that are already have that problem, and that I can help. Let them become aware, so they'll be aware, that I exist and I can solve that problem, or that even maybe they have that problem. But I'm not trying to, you know, mind screw them into buying a product that obviously there's no value for them, and then open up some drop ship website so people buy crazy amounts of stuff, and then I shut it down and nobody can return anything because they realize, why did I buy this? This is junk.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, oh, well, I only spent $10. Oh, I only spent $20, whatever. Then few weeks later, you see this 15-year-old guru. Oh, look at my numbers. Look what I did. Look at my Shopify numbers. This is where I started. This is how I did. Blah, blah, blah. All right, well, okay, well, how much money of that did you keep?
Mm-hmm.
Right? That doesn't reflect profit. That just reflects cash flow. That there's some there was some sales, there's movement, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but maybe you spent $10. You made $10, but you spent $10 to get that sale.
Right.
So you're really not making any money. Maybe you even spend more.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, but people that don't understand these things, then they don't know these things. They see these things and they're like, oh, well, I want that.
Mm-hmm.
I want that too. Which is one of the, I'm gonna plug in Carlos here because no, he mentions this a lot, and I don't think anybody really appreciates that. Is that making $1 million is not the same as keeping the $1 million that you made, because you can show a business that's making 10 million, but if you're really not keeping any of that and the percentage is really low, then you're not really being profitable, right? And you're probably you're probably dragging yourself down into a hole. If something happens, then suddenly you're going to be, what happens if Facebook decides to, I don't know, we're going to change our rules and terms, and suddenly you become dependent on that advertisement bringing in a certain amount of sales. Suddenly Facebook just took that away from you. What about Amazon? What if they do the same thing? What about eBay? What about blah, 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 which is the problem of living and doing things on somebody else's sandbox. Right? So I'm not saying that there's no profit and there's no no possibilities in these things, but you have to realize always and always keep that in mind, that those channels are just that, channels for you to be able to bring value to people and make it accessible for them to be able to find it and solve their problems. Right? Not think from the point of view of making the sale. Oh, I'm going to make this much money. Of course, you got to look at the financial component of the business to make sure that you're not going to dig a hole, and cash flow and everything. But that's it. It's just Amazon. You're a channel for me to sell. If you don't work out because you decide to change your stuff, then that's fine, because I have my own web store, which people know about it. People refer to it because they know about the brand by now, and word of mouth keeps bringing in more people because people keep recommending it, because I'm actually solving their problem. I'm actually solving their needs. I'm going beyond, and people like that. That's and then that's where you begin to have that flow. You become you begin to contribute in the different groups, like forums, maybe it's skateboarding, whatever. All right, well, I'm going to show you guys different tricks. Oh, wow. Don't, it's a pitch, right? It's a sales pitch. Nope, no sales pitch. I'm just giving it to you guys. No strings attached. Why? Because I love it. And part of the mission of the business and our role is to solve problems, bring value to the community, right? And if you enjoy it, if you like it, and you're curious and interested what it is that we do, you can go to the store and take a look at what we have.
Hmm.
Maybe the skateboard that you're using doesn't really work as good as the ones that we have. And then you decide, you know what? These guys are legit. They're not being mean about other brands. They're not trying to stuff anything down my throat about the products. I want to help. I want to be part of this, right? Because then we're part of the community, kind of like Apple,
Hmm.
right? We're different. We are the rebels. We are the blah blah blah, right? From the commercials back in the day.
Oh yeah.
That still is. People look at Apple, and this is I am. Apple represents a persona, and that persona is cool, it's different, it's stylish, it's minimalist, it's modern, is elegant, it's clean. I am that. That's why I have an Apple.
Hmm.
Of course, they don't go into any of those details, but they represent that persona. Every time they present the product, they present that that this is the kind of people. This is what represents the artist, the creative minds, so on and so forth. The androids are for the nerds, the geeks. They're basically like computers and stuff like that. That's why when you look at people that consume Android, phones, that's usually like the market and persona.
Hmm.
They're gaming. Oh, this Android phone has so much power, has this new chip for Qualcomm that can do all this crazy rendering and so much more powerful and blah blah blah. Right? Nobody in the Apple side cares about that. I don't care. But the people in the Android. So anyway, it's just to show that the community you build, it builds a community around that. So, and I know you're familiar with that.
Oh yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
yo, I go on tantrums. I go.
Hey, that's why we're here, man. And I did want to mention for people listening too. Obviously, you were referencing Carlos, so that's Carlos Alvarez. So, free
From
plug for Wizards of Amazon Group, and he's awesome. So definitely check him out. He knows his stuff. He's really a great guy.
hmm
Um, and what you were saying was great. I thought obviously you've heard me like when I've talked in the group too, and anywhere like I say the same thing. The idea that like your product's all it is about solving problems. So that's it's not a complicated thing that we're trying to do in e-commerce specifically. It's like
but that's
easily done.
yeah. But there lies the component,
Mhm.
because everybody is like, oh, but you have to be passionate. And then there's the other spectrum of like the guy from Curing, coffee machine.
Mhm.
Wow, I don't actually use. I don't even drink coffee.
Mhm.
So okay, wait a minute. You make this machine and all these things, and everybody, is coffee fanatics and crazy people, but you don't drink coffee or you don't use it. So that means obviously you're not passionate about it like the rest of us. But yet you built this. So there's these two different opposite ways of looking at this, and you're like, I don't understand, where's the common ground?
Mhm.
Passion, suddenly no passion, successful and also successful. I don't understand what's going on. And the answer is, yeah, it doesn't need to be that you are passionate about the technical solution. You don't have to be passionate, but you don't necessarily need to be passionate about the technical solution. You need to be passionate about finding solutions, whatever that is. Whatever that is. The other element with that is, if it doesn't fall within something that I'm familiar with, it's no. I can't do this because I really don't know anything about, I don't know, uh, maybe the problem that needs to be solved is a medical problem. Who am I to solve a medical problem? Well, imagine if Elon Musk saw the problem about building rockets and leaving and going to Mars as, what do I know about rockets?
Mhm.
No, I'm not going to get into that. I don't know anything about rockets. Well, what I've done up to this point is create a PayPal and online yellow pages, pretty much. What do I know about rockets? Right? What do I know about any of these things? No, 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 I'm not going to do that. Well, realize that obviously is not something that he thought about. Maybe he did, but then he realized that thought and says, all right, I'm not going to let that thought drive me. I'm not going to let that. I want to solve this problem because there's then created a passion. He felt passionate about solving the problem, not what the problem is. Yes, he read books about, some books about, that help him feel some passion regarding, space travel and things like that. But that doesn't necessarily need to be the case, because if you're passionate about helping people and solving their problems, whatever that is, right? Then we're talking about a different monster here. Then you don't need to be passionate about what the technical solution is, which explains why passion comes into play, and then why not being passionate necessarily about the solution come into play. Suddenly these two opposing things begin to make sense. So, and then at that point, once you are able to finally marry these two things and finally consolidate in your mind and bring peace to these two opposing thoughts, then you let it sink in. You literally realize there is no limit to what problem you can go after to solve. It's all about, at that point, is how big of a bang I want to go and get done. That's how big of a bang, right? And if you're like some people, very introverted, it's like, well, I just want to live, I just want to make, the impact, but I love my life, my private life and stuff like that. Perfect. You just focus on problems that basically keep you within that frame, not go all crazy. Maybe, but maybe you literally just, I don't know, think something big, man. Think something big. Like, I don't know. I can't even think of something big enough, that could, potentially, I don't know, like, bro, I can't even think. My brain is like fried right now. But think infinite, like infinite possibility. Mm-hmm. Look at a giant problem, infinite, in infinite capacity. Like, how maybe traveling the world, make it free. How can we make this free? How can we make traveling the world free? Assuming that that's a real, genuine, massive, big problem, right? That's worth solving, whatever, right? And then create a solution. Like Facebook, the reason it works is because it's focused around community, and that's one of the basic biological necessities of us, of humans, right? So they're basically capitalizing on that necessity. So that's why there's so many groups. That's why even before Facebook, there was so many forums, online with, ICQ and IRC and so on and so forth. So they just leveled it up. So maybe there's a next level to that. Maybe now with the VR world, which, I mean, it's incredible. I mean, we've gone so far ahead. And I have some thoughts about how we could utilize the VR platform in a more valuable way for society. And I know I'm being very vague. It's intentional. But, there's possibilities everywhere. And the best thing is that once you realize and you click, you break away from that, you need to be the technical solution, and that you need to be okay with being uncomfortable, being, handling problems that you don't know anything about, because you don't need to know anything about it. That's, to be solved, then you realize that you literally can go after anything. No limits.
That is awesome.
Doesn't matter what's going on with Amazon. Doesn't matter what's going on with eBay. Doesn't matter what's going on with Shopify. Doesn't matter what's going on with WooCommerce, Magento. Doesn't matter what's going on with Sears, or that they went bankrupt or whatever. I mean, doesn't matter. Really doesn't matter, because all of them are just channels for you to bring the solution to the masses that need the problem solved. If that's Amazon, great. So that's why when I look at a lot of the things that sometimes people are pushing through Amazon, I stop and look back and it's like, that's why it's not working.
Mm-hmm.
This is why it's not it's not, has nothing to do with PPC, nothing to do with the necessarily the copywriting, nothing to do with, it's not solving a problem. It's not really solving. It's just a fad. It's just and of course you can use persuasion to manipulate people. Not persuasion. You can use different manipulation ways to get to people to believe, that they have this problem and that they need to be solved, right? And then play on their insecurities and fears, right, to drive that sale.
Right.
Fear of missing out, as many others, but there it is. It's not like, I'm not afraid of missing out. What I'm afraid of is not solving this imminent problem that I have, or this problem that they have. Then it's not necessarily that I'm going to tell everybody, like some systems that I enjoyed recently that I got from a website. And I looked at it and I broke it down, and I was like, man, this is amazing system. And I'm missing out the potential of not buying more additional licenses to be able to use more capacity, because it's limited time. But I'm okay recommending this system to other people because I know that it's good and I know that it solves the problem. That's what you want. You want people to think that way about your product, about the problem that you're solving. And me sharing that with people through social media, through chats, through a video or whatever, the people that made the system are not paying me. This is completely free advertisement, because the product genuinely solves a problem and is genuinely good. No PPC, no ad campaign, no nothing. So it's just, I'm just giving you a lot of stuff that basically, sharing with some stuff that basically it's meant to realize that those things are valuable. Those are things that are important. But if you can't make that product sell without you pushing it down people's throat with, advertising or PPC campaigns, then the product is really not solving a big of a problem. It's not solving a big problem.
Right.
And if you have a product right now and it's not doing well, like it's happening for me right now because it was the travel niche, then think of how can I look at my product as a way to solve a big problem? What big problems are happening in the world right now that my product can generally help in those regards? And you got to be careful that it's not that you, in your own fantasy of your mind, you make connections, because your mind is, you can't trust your mind. So you got to talk also to other people that you can trust, that that, and make sure that they can see, yeah, no, definitely, that can definitely help that way. Oh my goodness, I didn't think about it, and that's a big deal. That's a big problem. Oh, excellent. I can refocus this product to solve this bigger problem, potentially, right? And then because I'm solving that bigger problem, which people have, because it's a big problem, that means more people are going to have that big problem. They're going to be like, oh yeah, this is how I solved my problem. And when they see people that had, other people, I keep saying other people. When you have this problem solved, people will see this person that had this problem and they'll see, wait a minute, oh, that's how wow, that's really cool. I didn't think about that. I don't personally have that problem, but then I'm humming around my own business, my own life. I see somebody else with that problem that I know, and we're talking. It's like, oh well, this guy solved that problem with this thing, and it's incredible. I didn't even realize free advertisements just happened there
Mm-hmm.
because you are actually solving a problem, not because you're just trying to stuff something on somebody's throat or brain or whatever. So that's my stick to it.
All right. Cool. So obviously, I wish we could keep talking here, but hopefully you can come on again. So as we kind of wind up here today, so I wanted to ask you, like, is there anything else you want to say, or any place that they can find you? Anything you in terms of kind of anything you want to say there?
Um, yeah, I'm not very active in social media.
Mhm.
Um, hungry. So I usually pop around in Facebook in some of our groups in the Entrepreneurs Book Club.
Mhm.
You can find us on Facebook, right? Um, Also in the I spend a lot of time in our other groups, like Wizards of Amazon, and also on Facebook and also on Telegram. That's pretty much it. I kind of keep kind of disconnected intentionally, um, so I can spend more time with my family and less time, staring at a screen, and because you can go for hours and hours and hours.
Mhm.
That's the point. That's the point of the way that it works. Um, but yeah, if anybody needs to reach me, you can reach me and Facebook, Alfred Fontanez. You can find me. I think I'm pretty easy to find. And you can join some of our groups. Like the Entrepreneurs Book Club. Very exciting. We pick one book to read every month and study and analyze the study, and then we review it at the end of the month. We have a lot of, we also provide a lot of extra, content and material along with the book. So it's not like you just, we just vote and pick a book, but there's also lots of material and content that we accumulate and share with the group, so everybody can really take the book into action, which is a problem that a lot of us, most of the time have, is that we don't know how to turn all of this amazing content into an actual application in the real world. Um, and of course, we have lots of discussions about that. There's also many other books that we talk about, and we also share. So, highly recommend people to go and check us out. Uh, that's it. I mean, that's all I got. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a part of the book club as well, and I've loved it. It's a great place. I definitely would recommend it. So thank you again for coming on, and I guess we'll talk to you guys next time on Morning Marketing Machine. All right, see you guys.
thank you.